righty, we're ready to roll here. Gotta have our show music. Welcome to Roadmap, Season 1, Episode 2. We have a guest this week. Every week we have a great guest, someone who is really very successful at taking 3 listings a week for many, many years, having a great life, making a lot of money, sharing his or her secrets with you. So you can use the copycat principle, and do it as well. Working 5 days a week, 2 days a week off, 6 to 8 weeks vacation. That's the plan. Just follow the recipe. That's all it is, folks. It's just a recipe. That's all we do. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. We've got a lot of material to cover. My co-host from San Diego, Carly Hathaway. Hi, Carly.
Hi, everybody.
How's the real estate business in San Diego?
Amazing.
Good.
Properties are moving so quickly.
Good. That's great.
Yeah. What if there was an airline that let you bring up to 4 bags for free?
Technical difficulties.
We rolled into the next tape. So good. So we're gonna. Last episode we talked a lot about the big picture, and while we're going to cover some of that here, and we'll be looking at questions, so you guys can ask questions, and we're going to pick up questions. We may ask one of you to go ahead and join us, click in and talk back and forth, but we'll read the questions off the chat. So make sure to put any thoughts that you have into this, because whether you're at 1 listing a week now, or maybe you're only at 1 a month, or maybe you're already at 3 listings a week taken now, and you need to get to 4 or 5, all of these rules apply. So it's going to work quite well. So jump in, participate, use the copycat principle, and let's make this happen. Because every week we're going to have somebody on here that's doing it. And all you have to do is the very same thing. So let's look at the general philosophy again. If you're on the listing side of the business, dominant, maybe you're a 1-person show, and that's fine. Is 2/3 of your business or 3/4 of your business listings, or 1/3? If it's 1/3, you're probably working too hard. 2/3 buyers, 1/3 listings. Ouch. We know how you find your listings. You find the buyer and they go, oh, I got a house to sell. Kind of do it in reverse. It's a lot of work if you're on the listing side of the business, because you know what's coming, folks. We saw it with Airbnb. They disrupted Marriott and Hilton. We saw it with Uber. They disrupted the taxis. If we know that there's going to be Uber realtors out there running around showing property for $19, get on the listing side of the business. Build up the listing side of the business. That's the most important piece. So then we look at the structure. So one of the most common things that we have in success is routine. Carly, if you owned a Starbucks in, where are you? Little Italy, somewhere down there? Somewhere down that way?
Yes.
Somewhere in San Diego. And you owned a Starbucks. Can you open it at 5 a.m. on Tuesday, 7 p.m. on Wednesday, skip Thursday, open at 9 a.m. on Friday? Can you do that?
Absolutely not. No way.
Absolutely not. So the most important thing is to set very exact structure to be successful, because when you have routine, wherever you have routine, you have a very effective business. So the biggest challenge is that morning piece. And I know Tim, who's going to be joining us here in a few minutes, would agree. It's all about the routines and structures you build as your building block. Whether you're a solo agent and 1 assistant, or no assistant, or maybe you share an assistant with 2 other agents. I mean, you got to start somewhere. And you're building that business. You've got to have routines. And but we don't see it. Well, I didn't come in Tuesday morning until 11 because I was up late at midnight negotiating a contract on Monday night. That doesn't work, folks. So we have to start at the same time. So here's the recipe. Let's look at recipe number 1. Make sure your morning is almost identical 225 days a year. Work days. Those days you're right. Remember that? So every morning from the time you get up until noon, it's got to look like every single day's got to look the same. Well, that isn't possible. Well, yes, it is possible. Let's talk about that. Anybody have any questions on how that's possible? Thoughts, questions? Let's see. This last week is a recording available. Yes, there is. Yes. we'll email it to you. Eventually, all those will be posted if you're a Vulcan7 member. We got some general questions, but I wanted to talk about that morning routine because there are people that just, they'll have a dental appointment at 10 in the morning. Why did you set it for 10? Why did you set it? Carly, why do people do that? If all morning is lead generation, why would you set a dental appointment right in the middle of it? We know dental appointments are only at one exact time. Anybody know? It's 2:30, 2:30, right? Right? 2:30. That's dental appointments. So nothing before noon, so you can have very exact days. And when you're honing your skill, if you're doing the same thing 5 days a week, I think we should jump in because we have a perfect example. We have Tim Davis on the line. Let me introduce Tim and let's get some conversation going. Tim Davis is our guest today. He's from the Redmond and Bend area. Some of you drove up that way to the little town of Madras a few miles away to watch the total eclipse. It was like their version of Woodstock up there. So they had a lot of fun, but they were all in the dark from what I heard. So, Tim, welcome to the show. I'm glad you can be here because you do what we're talking about, don't you?
Absolutely. Every day.
So you take about 3 or 4 listings a week, 12, 14?
4 to 5 a week right now.
Wow.
And 4 or 5 a week. And if I asked you 10 years ago how many you took a week, what would you tell me?
2 to 3.
2 to 3. Okay, so it was increasing. So you were only down to maybe 12 listings a month back then.
Yeah.
Oh, darn.
Oh, darn. What's interesting, he's in a small town area, and so many agents will say, I need to be in a big city to be able to take that many kind of listings. You can't do that here. But Tim does it. You've been doing it for decades.
Yeah.
Decades.
You
working a lot of nights and weekends?
No.
Of course not. So, and you're off on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. And some vacations and season's coming, right?
Exactly. Hunting season. There we go.
Elk hunting. It's a different world,
hunting.
Folks. Different world.
Yeah.
Elk hunting. So give me a sample of your day. Give me a sample of your day.
In at 8 o'clock. I'll prospect from 8 till right around 10:30. Do
Great.
some lead follow-up from 10:30 to 11:30. Return some calls, go to lunch 12 to 1. Back in the office, do 2 more hours in additional prospecting. Set some other appointments, negotiate some contracts, go on a listing appointment or 2, and then out by 6:30, 7 latest.
Okay, so on a long day, you're working till 6:30 or 7.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Fantastic. Off on the weekends, 4 to 6 weeks vacation. I know you go over to Hawaii often.
Yes.
Have a great time and take several weeks. When people talk about 365 days and working 225 to 235, is that realistic?
Absolutely. Yeah,
You're doing it.
Yeah.
I know you're doing it. I know.
As long as you're efficient.
Yeah.
When you're working, you're working. When you're on, you're on. That's the key.
Great. That's fantastic. And by the way, before we get too deep, and I don't want to forget, Tim's in Redmond and Bend, and there are some natural markets, and a lot of our listeners or viewers are in some of those markets like Portland and Salem and Seattle and the Tri-Cities area and all those areas up in the Northwest that naturally have people moving back and forth. What's your website if they want to find you and have you?
It's real easy. Tim Davis Group, Central Oregon Realty.
Tim Davis Group, Central Oregon Realty.
Yep.
Perfect. Yep. Look, and it'll be very well taken care of because they've got the field honed.
Mm-hmm.
So, expireds for sale by owner, calling around listings and sales, past client sphere. Anything else?
Yeah. I've been doing a lot more in calling investors as well.
Oh, that's
Investors, great.
Working that in for an hour. Absentee owners, again, because it's right now everybody knows it's harder to get the inventory. So you got to mix back. Everybody's hitting the expireds. There's a lot more. So you got to fish in other pools, to get the listings.
Okay. Yeah, getting down to where you're only getting 4 or 5 a week. What the heck?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I think you got this thing figured out.
Yeah.
It works. It works if you work, that's the deal.
Yeah. Does your system work? Do you? Yes, something like that. So good. So, and then you've been working like the people in the community. I mean, are you still calling them on a like neighborhood by neighborhood basis, or?
Yeah, we still do it. It's tougher to get phone numbers, but with Vulcan now, we're getting people's cell phone numbers.
Gotcha.
Home phone numbers are gone, which is a nice tool now, so we can keep covering and touching base with them. But yeah, we've had people that have called for over 20 years. So and they every once in a while you'll still get one of them that call and, hey, you called me 20 years ago. I'm ready to finally put my home on the market. So yeah.
And you called me 20 years ago. Good Lord, Tim.
We just kept calling them.
Somebody's typing and says it is difficult to hear Jim, so that we know they can't hear because they're calling you Jim. So just be as loud as you can, I guess.
I'll speak louder for you.
Great, perfect. Questions you may have for Tim, because here's the copycat principle, folks. If you went to see Tim work and you showed up at 7:30 and you saw him role play and get on the phone and talk to expireds and then for sale owners and old expireds and past clients, and you would hear the scripts and the dialogues, and we can cover some of them here today. Whatever you guys want. We've got a big crowd on here. Love to see some questions or thought. Can you repeat daily schedule?
Sure.
How could we get his schedule again? Everybody's fascinated by that. So what time do you arrive at the office?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, okay. And then they're saying, what is the priority? Who do you call first?
Expireds first.
Okay.
And then I'll roll into for sale by owners second.
For sale by owners second, great.
Yeah.
So if you're calling an expired, what do you say? What do you say to an expired?
Oh, this is Tim Davis with Central Oregon Realty. I just realized your home came off the market, and that's when you plan on interviewing the right agent for the job of selling your home.
Great. Well, no, thank you, Tim, but we're just going to give it a rest.
Going to give it a rest? Okay, great. And if you sold this home, where are you going next?
We're moving to Portland.
Portland, that's exciting. And how soon do you have to be there?
We're kind of in both places back and forth right now, but we're going to give it a little rest and think about it. We got to regroup.
Give a rest and regroup. I can appreciate that. What do you think stopped your home from selling?
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. We had a couple people come back a second time, but no offers.
No offers. Oh, really? And how did you happen to pick the last agent you listed with?
I've known him since high school.
Known him since high school. Oh, good.
Yep.
And what did that agent do that you like best?
Well, what'd you say your name was?
It's Tim Davis, Central Oregon Realty.
Well, he worked really hard. I like the fact that he was here for every showing.
Every showing he was there. Oh, I can appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet.
And what do you feel he should have done?
Well, we want the house sold.
You want the house sold? Absolutely,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Get
yeah.
moved.
So let me get your number and we'll give you a call because we're regrouping.
Regrouping, I can appreciate that. And what will you expect from the next agent you choose?
Well, we're going to expect to just get it sold. We want good communication, and we have our price. We want $299. So
You want $299? That's your price. Okay.
yeah.
And have you already chosen an agent to work with?
Well, we'll probably go back with Bob.
Go back with Bob.
Maybe.
I see. I'd like to apply for the job of actually getting your home sold this time. Are you
Okay.
familiar with the techniques I used to sell homes?
So Tim, you're listing 4 or 5 homes a week, and you're using this script pretty commonly,
Yes.
and that works. Okay, good.
Yes.
And then you go to for sale by owners, and somebody said, "How do you overcome the objection that a for sale by owner doesn't want to list with an agent?" Just say, "Well, thanks for calling, Tim, but we're not going to list with an agent."
I can appreciate on list. Do you not like real estate agents?
No, we like them. We're just trying to save money, Tim.
Save the money. I understand. Everybody wants to save the money and net as much money as it. If I could net you the price you want and handle everything with you, would you be just open to seeing what I can do to sell your home?
So a question like that's simple, Tim. That works.
Yeah, keep it simple.
So really, we're just overcomplicating this.
We are. Yes, especially on objection handling.
Is it just, everybody feels like they have to have the magic words, or is it just that they need to spend 4 to 5 hours doing it every day?
That's the 4 to 5 hours doing it every day. And
so there's a tough situation, because I was reading some notes this morning over things to talk about. This comes from a guy, Ron Wexler in Chicago. Some of you out there may know. People work long hours because they didn't do what they're supposed to do between 9 and 5. What say you?
True.
I agree with that too. Great.
Can I ask you a question? So
So you're working when you're working. Go ahead, Carly. Say that again.
once you do overcome all their objections and they're open to meeting with you, do you try to take that listing appointment same day? Do you think that that's better, or do you try to set it for later in the week?
It depends on the pre-qualification. Good question. So if they're open to it and I know I'm going to be the last agent, then I could set it that day. If I feel that they're going to sign the contract. Yeah, always want to be the last agent.
Okay.
Yeah. If not, if say they're seeing 2 or 3 others today, then I would set it for the next day.
Okay, got it.
Because I want to be last. So
And
whatever
do
the
you
answer.
have to get a commitment from them to not sign with any other agents before they meet with you?
Yes, I always ask for a verbal commitment on that.
Okay. Okay, good. And someone is asking what an absentee owner is.
Absentee owner is someone that owns an investment property, like a second home, and they don't live in that area. So vacation home, second home, multifamily investment properties, things of that nature.
And then, and we find there are people that own like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 homes.
Yeah.
And I think the script is something like, are there any now that you may want to sell or trade for something more lucrative? Because they're always playing old maid with those. If you've got that many, you have to be playing old maid with them, or they should be.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. They're putting them into other investment properties and upgrading, exchanging, all kinds of options and opportunity there. So, yeah.
How many
People are just clinging. Go ahead, Carly.
How many people would you say you call in your morning kind of calls to the for sale by owners and those people? Do you have a number?
I'm averaging about 45 to 50 actual
okay.
contacts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Conversations. It's interesting. A lot of people track calls or attempts, where you call and nothing happens. I've never understood that. It's a big number to be proud of. I attempted to talk to 183 people. How many did you talk to? 14. Well, 14 it's still a good number, So if you're talking to 40 or 50 in a day, for those of you that haven't done that, try that. 40 or 50 in a day, 40 or 50 conversations. Now, Tim would agree, some of those are pretty quick.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
And you called for so many years through some neighborhoods, people started reciting back, answering your next question before you asked.
Yeah, they got better at the script than I did. Well, I got a lot of referrals out of it, and they remember who you are. So
that's true. Yeah, that's true. Right? Yeah, perfect. But when you look at it, expireds for sale owners, they have a home for sale today, right now, and they don't have an agent. I mean, there's your low-hanging fruit. Who's next on the list right after for sale owners? I mean, because 5 hours, Tim, 5 hours. You can't talk to expires and FSBOs for 5 hours. There's more.
Yeah, then I'd go into some, just listed, just sold. Typically around my newest listing, I would pull up all my past clients that live around it first and start calling them, because they're either going to give you the best referral or they're going to know the hottest lead in the area. Typically, and then I would just go into the general, just listed, just sold calls after that.
Okay, good. So what does a little script like that sound like?
For which one? I'm sorry.
Calling around a recent listing.
Oh, around releasing. Okay. Ring, ring, ring. We'll do it here.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Hey, Ren. This is Tim Davis with Central Oregon Realty.
Yes.
How are you today?
Good.
You don't know if you remember me. I actually sold you that home 2 years ago there on 10th Street.
Oh, that Tim Davis. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This faucet leaks.
Oh, faucet leaks?
Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding.
I can understand that. Yeah. Got to have some home maintenance there. I was just wanted to thank you for keeping your home in that area so nice. I've driven by there about a month ago and noticed how nice that home looks. And I just listed a house a block over there on 50th, and it's 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and really good condition. And I was wondering, who do you know and would like to live close to you guys?
Well, I don't really know, but I know the Morrises are planning on moving out.
Oh,
you know the Morrises.
Right, yeah. So where are they
planning on moving out? So
great.
maybe you should sell their house too.
Well, I appreciate that. Do you mind if I used your name when I gave them a call?
It's probably not a good idea. They think I talk too much about the neighborhood.
Too much of that. That's okay. I'll just call them out of the blue. I appreciate that.
There we go.
And I was wondering, who else do you know who's planning on moving?
Well, have you talked to Mrs. Kravitz next door here?
No, I haven't talked to her. Is she planning on moving as well?
No, but I was hoping she would.
Hoping she would. Yeah, I can appreciate that. How about you? Any moving plans or looking for any investment?
No, we're here for the long haul.
Oh, for the haul. Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah. You know, elk hunting season's coming. I got to get out there for that.
Yeah, I got to get ready for that. I hear you. So am I. Yeah, you got to be ready. And I was wondering, do you mind if I touch base with you every 30 days or so and kept in touch on what the market's doing? Would that be okay?
Sure, Tim.
Great. I appreciate your help today.
So then how do you mark that in your database? So you've got coal or something pushed into Vulcan7 or something. You mark that, you know, they're okay with you calling on it. So there you got the permissions and keep that going. Keep that going.
Yeah.
And you just build as we had a guest on here a couple weeks back, Sean McCarthy, you know, he calls around his listings and sales and whatnot, and he gets, you know, develops them, adds them to the sphere, asks permission to stay in touch. And he's got thousands of people he's calling. And so if you're doing 4 or 5 hours, you got to have a lot of that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of sphere of influence and past clients mixed in there as well.
Good. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about how your team runs, because what I know is if you're spending your 4 or 5 hours on the phone every day, you know, and negotiating contracts, somebody else is taking care of buyers, Pache and whoever else, and you've got this administrative staff that's rock star. Alicia and Brittany's still there, and you've got a rock star team. How delegating, one of the biggest challenges agents have, and I was reading about this morning, is, you know, they don't want to let go. So you have agents that, you know, it's kind of funny, they do it in reverse. You know how if you're doing this right, your assistant goes through your email, your mail, phone messages, everything, and then gives you what you need. A lot of agents, when they're newer to delegating, they go through everything and hand their assistant what they want the assistant to handle. They do it backwards. So tell me a little bit about delegating structure, you know, how that creates the space that you need catching a fish every day. Because at some point in time, you got a barrel full of fish to keep track of, active and pending, and on from there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, absolutely right. The key, of course, is the right people and the right systems. I have 2 on the administration staff. So, you know, once I get something accepted or the listing taken, you know, it's automatically, you know, processed. So that's taken care of, so I can, you know, stay on my schedule. Fantastic.
Well, they do a bang up job. So that takes a while to build up that, like you said, you know, it takes a while to get the right.
It does.
People and I know you've got an amazing group there, so it makes it all work out. A lot of questions about, you know, where you're getting your information for circle prospecting. I assume that's through Cole, which is available in our system. You just hit Grid data.
Cool.
That's a separate subscription with them, and they have cell numbers, and you can draw on a map and pull the ones you want, and et cetera, et cetera. And then you were talking about absentee owners or people that own multiple properties. How are you finding those people that own or absentee? Is that through Cole as well? Because I think it tells you.
Yeah, we do a different merge there.
No.
Yeah, we do a different merge there, Ren. What we do is get a list of those owners through the county, through the title company.
Gotcha.
Who they are, and then from there, then we'll merge that into Vulcan on a list, then it pulls up the phone numbers, and then we can call them.
All right. So generally speaking, because only 4 or 5 states have title companies that'll do that kind of hustle for you, usually California, Washington, Oregon, over that way. So in the rest of the states, most multiple listing services have a tax database. Most agents don't know how to go in and use it, but you can go in, pull all the owners, sort by owner name, and look for blocks of people that own property. Or you can search that says non-owner occupied, yes or no, and you can pull groups. You just have to get proficient at how to use the tax database to pull those absentees. And once you do that, then you can import that and go from there. So there's a number of methods to do that, but you got to find a way to do it. If you run into a dead end, keep looking, because absentees are gold. So when you're talking to somebody, they own the house, but they live in Seattle. They own the house, but they live in Honolulu. They own the house, but they live in Phoenix, versus somebody that lives locally. That group, and you're calling them and nobody else is. I'm sure they're like, how's the weather? What's going on in the market there? What's real estate? You're the little lifeline, and you're the only one calling. That's got to be powerful.
Yeah, very unique market. Like you said, nobody else is really calling them and working it consistently.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Essentially, you're obviously not going to meet them for a listing appointment. You're
right.
Over the phone?
Yeah.
Okay. And
do most of those over the phone. Yep.
Okay.
Carly, you ever taken a listing over the phone?
I haven't, but I'm excited to try it now.
It works. I used to take about 2 a month, and I love them.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier. We've Jeff Quinton, who we've interviewed in the past, most of his business, he's never met the people. Most of his appointments, just say, let's set up a time to meet. How about this afternoon at 3 o'clock? So he sets up a time to meet from 3 to 3:30. In the meantime, he emails them over particulars to look over. They all get on the phone. He sends over the document to e-sign. And then you're done. Well, I need to get a key. Our neighbor has a key. Should we send our locksmith to rekey it? It's easier than you know.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Phone listing appointment. A lot of people in resort markets, Tim's not quite a resort market, but in resort markets, it's like 2/3 of their business operates that way. Much more efficient. And the motivation. Describe the motivation of an absentee versus someone who lives living there now.
Motivation, it's, they're always kind of looking, is what I'm saying. They're always looking for the next opportunity, the next deal, or it's a property that they haven't used for a while. So timing is good with them. When they're ready to go, they're ready to sell. Most of them have a lot of equity. So it's a lot easier sale.
Good. So it's easier sell because they have the equity. So, and it's more like owning stock for them than the emotion of I'm living here. And sometimes when people are in a property, it's sort of like, well, I got to pay a mortgage somewhere. So, we're not in any hurry. But with an absentee, the emotion's not there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
it's more of a business
transaction. For those of you that are not in the absentee business in your market, we should go through your rent roll, seek out who doesn't live there, start talking to them wherever they are, be there. It's a great phone call. It's a very welcome phone call. Very, very welcome. They feel like you're kind of have your eyes on their property. And do you offer anything like that? Hey, if you ever need us to go by and do this or that, or if they, you're the eyes and ears on the ground here in Redmond and Bend for someone who lives many states away.
Yeah, a lot of them, we'll go cruise by, and it just gives you the intro to the next time you call them. Got a lot of investors like that. Hey, I went by your rental and needs looks like it's going to need some paint. And I appreciate you telling me that. Maybe it's time to look at upgrading that now. And, just opens the conversation.
Great. Okay. Let's see. Expand. Okay. They just want you to expand. Well, that's a very general question. I don't have a lot of good questions on here, but I would like to ask some. What's he said after being the last agent? Oh, what do you say after you're the last agent in on prior to whatever? What do you say to them once you're the last agent in that closes it up? I think it's pretty fair for them.
Well, in the listing presentation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I say I appreciate you. You met with everyone. All your questions are answered. I'm the choice for you. Let's get the home on the market right now. And then boom, I close it.
Great.
And that way they can't stall you with, we got one more person to talk to, we need to think about it tonight. We need to talk to somebody else. It cuts a lot of those down.
How long is your listing presentation?
20 to 30 minutes on average. It should be 15, but it's a little longer.
20 to 30 minutes. Great. And that, and I can appreciate that because that works and works well. I don't know about this question. What do you say if their husband or wife is a listing agent? I don't think you say. I think you say next.
Yeah.
Do you deliver a pre-listing packet to the listing appointment?
I don't consistently do that. I know a lot of people do really well doing that.
Gotcha.
One of my agents on my team that does listings now as well. He does it consistently. And
okay, so is he including comparables with those?
Yes. Yep.
He does include the comparables.
He
Okay, good.
Comps with the circled price and everything before he goes. Yeah.
Gotcha. Perfect. Other questions? Let's keep this Q&A going. And I may want to click and add somebody to jump in and talk too. Anybody else? Questions? Is there a different tactic you use when you come to the $1 million homes? Well, I know that's not Lake Park Estates. This is down at Sun River. Maybe, yeah. We joke about Lake Park Estates because there's no lake, no park, and it's certainly not an estate.
Yeah.
It's something like that. What about Sun River? Yeah, $1 million property.
Ultimately, a little more talk on marketing, of course, during the listing presentation. But it still comes down to, are they motivated to sell? Are they going to price it to sell? It doesn't matter if it's $1 million or 100,000. It still has to be priced right.
Great. Do you role play with your team? Is a question coming in.
Yeah. Yep. You started me on that, and that's a daily event. A quick 15-minute meeing.
Nice.
Good. Ask if you're doing anything with video or emails, or are you just talking?
Not too much video. No.
Not too much with video yet.
Great. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to talk.
Like you.
Let's see. It says, what are your numbers? How many turn into clients of the 50 you speak to each day? Well, if you're speaking to 50, you're talking to 250 people a week, and it sounds like you're taking 4 listings a week.
Right.
So would it be fair to say that every 63 people you talk to, you take a listing? Is that right?
Yeah, it's a good
There's
number.
probably some buyer business out of that too. Well, we know there is. When you sell their home, they have nowhere to live. So it's probably 1 out of 30 or 40 contacts equals a closed sale or something like that.
Paid transaction, yeah.
A paid transaction. How many contacts what do you think that number is? How many contacts to a paid transaction?
I'd say it's 40 to 50.
Yeah. When you think about how hard you have to work, because it's not that hard, but the mindset piece. You look at the mind. Now I know you've been doing it a long time, so you're past that curve. But for somebody that's newer to this, and they start feeling full they start getting agitated after about an hour of being rejected. What do you say to somebody like that?
You need to focus on the positive responses,
Okay.
and keep that, mindset when you're on the phone. Of course, you're going to get the person that hangs up on you right away or doesn't call you right away. what I've found though is you usually get one of those a day. You know, that's that with that kind of attitude. Once you're past them, you know, you're good to go. So a lot of it is, you know, seeing the positive outcome, knowing what you're going to say, staying on the script, and just know it's part of your job.
Just that it's okay. It's part of your job, because when you look at it, it's a lot easier than a lot of other choices. Where can you make $600, $800, $1 million a year consistently for year after year after year after year, putting your two girls through college? One's just finished college, right?
Yeah.
And great vacations. You and Stacy bought a lot of rental property, haven't you? How many doors do you have? Well, you don't have to share, but you've got a bunch.
Over 30, yeah.
Over 30 rental properties. So, you know, life is bliss. So, you know, where else can you make this kind of money? You know, where else for working a 5-day week, you know, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, guys and gals, it's simple, but it's not easy. But the mindset piece. Now, Tim's unusual because a lot of us had to have a lot of accountability partners. You kind of didn't do a whole lot of that. Role play partners, accountability partners to keep your head in the game. But some of us have a little tougher time keeping our head in the game after. You get about 2 hours worth of prospecting, you start getting a little woozy and you're like, I got to get out of here. But that you're beyond that.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, do you hold a vision? What kind? Do you hold a vision that of all the great things you're going to have because you do it, or at this point, it's probably just like automatic.
That, and now it's kind of like a habit. You know, it's the most important part of the morning schedule, and you just get it done and go on to the next part. So it's just part of the dream.
Asking, they missed what your schedule is after your lunch. So when you come back from lunch at 1 o'clock, then what does your schedule look like?
Well, I return calls, and then I'll get back on and just do some additional prospecting for probably 2 hours. And then, you know, set up then if I got any contracts to negotiate or any admin stuff, you know, that's where I fit it in that part of the day, you know, the dead part of the day. And then I set my appointments for the evening and then start, you know, 5, 6 going to listing appointments.
Great. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Someone else is asking, do you send out mailers for your listings, or do you do any mailers or anything like that?
Nope. No mailing at all. I do mail a calendar out once a year that Ren always gets.
Nice. I want one next year.
On the refrigerator. No, I think.
Besides that, I don't
knock me off of that. I haven't seen one in a little while.
I'm not spending a lot of dollars on advertising.
But maybe I wasn't responding. Let's see. And then it says door knock. You still doing any of that? I know you were a long time ago.
I don't do as much. It's mainly phone for me. There's a couple people on my team that still door knock though. Yes.
Great. Somebody's hawking and inside sales agent. Have you ever had people call with you, and do they, you know, because it's interesting. So many people, and I've experimented with that, and a lot of people do, where they have people on the team that call for them. They'll have, you know, 2 or 3 people that call away. What do you see there? What does that look like? What have you seen in the past with that? Because you're doing all the calling. Certainly, Tim, you could have 3 people doing all these calls for you, and you could just go to that little Mexican restaurant you love so much and just have lunch.
Exactly. No, I can appreciate that.
For you, but you don't do that.
Yeah, and not that I'm against that, but I've tested that in the past, and I know that's really big right now, where people are calling people, you know, to call for them. Here, though, I think when it comes down to the rub where you're going to get the appointment, you know, it's a lot better if, like, I have 2 gentlemen here that are trained in my office that know how to, you know, they're actually in the business. The people know that they're real estate agents, you know, and they can set the appointment, be it somebody else calling who's just calling but really isn't that person. Does that make sense? They have the connection that they know they're in the office and they're actively working and they're an agent.
It's a different beast, and I think, you know, you're doing it, but I mean, you're only working 225 days a year. It's not so bad. So, you know, what happens is they hire all these people, the results are a lot less. They're paying out a lot of what would have gone into their pocket. Because one of the best skills we have is all the people skills that you've developed and the relationships you've developed with these people. How many times of the 50 people you talk to, how many of them, what percentage of them are strangers every day? And what percentage of them are people that have heard from you before at some level?
That's a good question. I mean, probably 70%. Yeah.
70%
with strangers.
70% are strangers. So you're talking a third of the people you know and 2/3 of the people you don't know every day. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And over time, you built that up. And that sounds like the right ratio because you want to talk to both. The people you don't know is the bigger group. At least that's the last I heard anyway.
Yeah.
Well, good. This has been great. There's been a lot of good questions. CRM, somebody's asking about that. Well, that is Vulcan7. So it's a great contact manager to track leads, email, store, tag, have come up on your calendar, all the wonderful things that you want that to do. Anything else, Carly?
Not that I can think of. I do have a question. So as far as expireds go, do you have an order that you kind of call them in, like they've been expired for a week, they've been expired for a month, they've been expired for a year?
I do. Good question, Carly. Yeah, I do the new ones first, of course, because you want to get on that before today's expireds, and I go top down.
Okay, got it.
That's been my change this year, because you want to push up your purchase price, of course, as much as you can to help with your numbers. So, yeah, I go top down. So most expensive to least expensive.
So the first call you make is the most expensive listing. So in other words, it's, if you have 5 expireds that day, you're calling the 1.2 million, then the 750 non-down.
Yeah, because personally, that's always been my challenge. I always like calling the cheaper ones first because I feel they would sell easier. So it's a mindset change.
Good for you.
Start at Redmond and work your way over to Bend, and then down to Sun River last.
Yeah. So
And
3 years to do that.
What about the for sale by owners then? What's your system there? As far as
them, I just
market?
anybody in the market area.
Okay.
And then I take them from when I follow up them again based on their motivation. Is it saleable? Do they really want to sell? Is the condition good? I'll kind of run that through my head again before I decide on how I'm going to follow up.
Got it. Great.
Fantastic. Good. How big is this market area? It's a little rural area with a couple 100,000 people? Is that what you got?
Oh, Redmond is smaller. A couple 100,000 now. It's funny. No, in my town, we're bigger now. It's 30,000, but the town next
in Redmond, what about Bend? You're both.
It's 75-ish.
So about 100 and that little region, Primeville, Madras.
Yeah, that's about right.
125, 140.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. And then you've got some interesting properties. What do you call it? Irrigated acreage.
Irrigated acreage.
Yeah.
Properties with water.
Pardon? Yeah, there you go. Good. Well, I appreciate you sharing with us a whole bunch. I think we've covered a lot of questions. Somebody's asking about pre-foreclosure, but those were the big days about 6 years ago. I don't think a whole lot of that's. You're probably going for Marlin and
yeah. I used to do a lot of that, but not. 4 or 5 transactions a year, but not too much in our market anymore.
Yeah, that's and that's a lot of work for a little less.
Right.
There's easier business to attain these days. Now there may be a couple areas of the country where that's that's viable, but that can be some of the harder money. There's lower hanging fruit. I asked a question about FSBOs. What was your question about FSBOs? Type. If he cannot reach people via phone on the first week, continue to call daily. Is that FSBOs? Yeah, well, they really need your help when they don't answer their phone.
Yeah.
They're not going to sell. Continue to call daily. Either does he limit his market area? No, he runs out of people. He's in the town in the middle of nowhere. Data shown as withdrawn sellers almost persuaded to list with me. Any tips to get this canceled? No tips. Please answer my question. When FSBO says they have a buyer and you ask if it's a written offer, how do you close for the appointment? You ask, is it a written offer? How do you close for the appointment? I don't know what that means. Oh, they have a buyer. When a FSBO says they have a buyer and you ask, is it written? I think you just get in a conversation. sale by owners. I'm not sure what he's trying to ask there, but I guess he's trying to get a little bit better with the skills of for sale owners. Let's give him one more thought or two more thoughts about for sale owners in general. Do you have any general guidelines, Tim, on that? FSBOs, just for sale owners in general.
My general is don't give up on them. I think most agents give up. They call them one time. I call them for sale by owner visitors. They call them one time and they say, those people really don't want to sell, and then they disregard them. What I've found over the years, it takes a little longer. You got to build more of, not total relationship. I'm not saying you're going to be their best friend and talk to them, but it takes a few more contacts to get that appointment, because a lot of times they're trying it, then they change and they finally say, we're tired of doing this ourselves. So it's a timing thing. So you want to up your percentages to be calling at the right time.
Perfect.
Yeah. And it never hurts to, when you have in your schedule to, preview properties, is to actually go see a couple for sale by owners as well.
Just include that in it. Good.
Include that in. Absolutely. That's
perfect.
Really
Perfect. Well, this has been a real treat, Tim.
Thank you.
You have a fabulous business, a fabulous life, and I'm a little envious. It's such a beautiful part of the world, too. If any of you have been there, it's gorgeous. So it's good to see you again, and I really appreciate it. I know you're normally we probably cost you half of a listing maybe already.
No, we'll make up for it.
Counting on somebody to send him a referral, a client down there, so we can make up for that.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll take
Thank you, everybody. And we'll say goodbye to Tim.
Bye, Tim.
See ya.
And I'm going to go take our sponsor for the show today, Grader's Ice Cream, Mint Chocolate Chip. Make sure you get some. If you've done your 4 or 5 hours of prospecting, get a big spoon. You've done your job. You set 2 listing appointments. You took 2 listings, got home. It's time for the ice cream. So have a good day, everybody. Thanks. We'll see you next week. Watch the replay of episode 1, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Thank you.